So this is a video I previously added called Why I Stopped Going to Restaurants and Bars, and this is a part I forgot to include. The tipping culture is out of control. Everywhere you go, you got tablets and devices asking if you would like to tip. 20%, 30%, or whatever. Everywhere you go at restaurants, prices are higher and they want more tips. Overall, they want a nickel and dime your fucking ass, and that's the reason I stopped going out. It gets really annoying. But I have a friend who I talk to about this topic a lot, and he has a lot to say about this topic. So, my last video, the restaurants, there's another friend who has a lot to say about it. Let's hear what you have to say, bud.
Fuck restaurants.
What else? What else?
That's the end of video.
What else though? Like
No, I
quality?
didn't dude, listen, there comes a time when, you have no options. You're in the middle of nowhere and shit.
Right.
Or you're taking some chick out. But, in general now, with inflation, they can't survive. They can't be, normal. Because they don't pay those people shit to begin with. So nobody gives a fuck from the top to the bottom.
Oh yeah, don't they pay their servers like what, $2 an hour?
Right, and so, what kind of service are you expecting at that? You think these people give a fuck?
Oh no. When I was
know?
I was bartending at restaurants and I made minimum wage, but I still relied on tips, you know. And when customers give me a bunch of shit about the quality of the food, I tell them the truth and be like, hey, you know what? Truthfully, none of this shit is fresh. You know what? Truthfully, we don't give a fuck. I say it.
Exactly.
I say it.
That's the truth. That's the truth, man.
Yeah.
And
Even.
back before COVID, I used to, if I had a man, happened to be in a spot and the guy or gal serving me was actually really cool, I give him a decent tip,
Right.
Because it's you usually tip for service and for something maybe a little extra, or listen, if you're rich, you tip whatever, but I was never rich to begin with, so
Right.
I'm the last person should be asking, but it is kind of weird because they're not being covered by the issues with inflation, so their pay is basically remained the same, and they kind of look at
Right.
every person like us to be their saviors, going to give them those big tips.
Right.
And meanwhile, the food quality has gone down.
It has. It really has.
The drink quality has gone down. Every piece of quality at the restaurant has got less servings of fries, less meat on your burger.
Right.
Everything has just been decreased. So it's but now you want more money from me, and you already increased your fucking prices. Right?
I know, right?
What?
We were.
How are you asking me? You just increased all your shit. You basically giving me less, asking me to pay more, and then asking me to pay more again with more tips?
That's
you fucking nuts.
right. Yeah, I remember after COVID, restaurants have really gone downhill. Like their training's bad, their service is bad, the learning of the menu has gone down, and it makes it seem like as if was I stupid, but then you realize their training just sucks.
Yeah. The menu sucks. Everything sucks.
Yeah. I remember I was bartending at some Scottish pub after I left Miami in 2021, and the interviewer who I handed my resume to said, "Sound like it was fast paced. We'll help you out." And then 3 days later, they put me to hosting and not tell me how to host.
Like you said, they don't give a fuck to begin with.
Yeah.
And, listen, I'm telling you, that whole industry is going to be run by AI.
Oh, I'm surprised it hasn't.
Very quickly. Because they've already rolled it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't they already do that with servers and shit with those videos I see?
They rolled it out with the drive-through, with
Yep.
People behind the counter or the front desk, even at hotels and shit.
Yep.
And it was funny because when the show was happening, I was like, oh man, this is kind of weird. And right now, after having so much bad service at front desks and restaurants or just fast food spots or whatever, I'm like, fuck yeah, bro! I take fucking robots. You kidding me?
Yeah.
They're gonna be fast as fuck. They're not gonna give you no fucking attitude.
Right.
Okay. I didn't even have time to think about this, but I'm just like, fuck, man. There's gonna be a lot of benefits.
Oh, definitely.
I'd take a fucking robot over any motherfucker. Just give me some bitchy attitude or some bitch. You get to the spot and she just gives you this look like, what are you doing here?
Yeah, all the time.
Oh, what do you want? Yeah. I'm like,
Uh,
what do you think I want? You fucking
food.
bitch. I want you to do your fucking job. Stop fucking giving me that. You don't want to be here. Fucking leave. Quit your fucking job.
Dude, that's what I did at all those restaurants, man. That Scottish
Right.
pub I talked about, like after the third week of getting 1 day a week, I was like, fuck this shit. I'm not dependent on you. I'm out of here.
Right. You were smart enough to just quit.
Yeah, I
Many
did,
people are just
dude.
like, oh, I hate my fucking job. I hate my life. So I'm just going to keep coming back and put all this shit on people that come in and just give them that attitude.
Dude, that's how it was when I worked at a grocery store and bartending. I get people saying they hate their jobs, their relationships, or whatever. And it gets to the point to where it starts to get old, and you just be like, cool, tell me something new. Want a gin and tonic with that? A martini? You want a rum and coke with that while you
I
tell me
mean,
you're
listen,
right?
some of these, even like these, ladies working, they gotta get fucked. They fuck the drink. They gotta get like fucking pounded for once in a year or something, because
Right?
you can just tell they're just dry, dry as a bone, like that. That pussy hasn't been touched for a while, and it starts to add up. It's like
Right.
too much tension. It's
I
like,
remember we had a manager at the grocery store. I hope to God she's not watching this, but when I was in my 20s, she would get really angry and stressed out, screaming at people, and I made jokes saying she's probably not having sex.
no, man.
Because she
There
did
was
get,
this lady that used to work at my local grocery, and man, her ass was fucking ridiculous. Like, it was just insane. But you could tell, like, she was super shy about it. So she was always like covering it up.
you get that,
But I'm like, yeah, this bitch needs it. Listen,
right?
that's
The
that's
worst
it.
part is the worst part is when you make a compliment and they give you an attitude about it. Like
Well,
that's
yeah, like I was, when I was in Miami, actually, like, I was getting sun. I was in the heat. It was
oh
really,
yeah, that's Miami,
and
man.
I was fucking, horn dog. I was hanging up chicks all over, and
That's what Miami
I
does
got out of the
that.
water, dude, and all of a sudden I see these two girls. One girl had by far one of the nicest tits I ever seen in my life. Like,
Nice.
ridiculous, like shit that like you would think is photoshopped, and you could tell they're natural. And she's looking at me. I'm looking at her. I'm just looking like down, up and right down.
When I cook my food, I usually like to get the Amish country poultry chicken because the quality's better and the prices are lower compared to the shitty Tyson where animals are in cages and shit like you see on Food Inc. I can definitely taste the difference on this chicken compared to that one. I cut the chicken into cubes the best I can. Put it in a glass bowl. Season it. Get out the wok, put it on high heat, and wait until you can feel the heat about halfway up. Once it's ready, you add in the sesame oil. Add in just enough to cover in the circle part of the area. And when it's steaming, that's how you know it's time to put the chicken in. Be sure to flip it around so that way both sides get evened out with the sesame oil, so that way it doesn't stick to the wok. Just because both sides are white doesn't mean it's not fully cooked. The best way I like to do it is I find a big slice, and then I just chop it in between, and then I look and see if there's any pink spots on the middle, and if there is, let it sit for a little longer. Then get your bag of frozen mixed vegetables. It doesn't have to be fancy. You can use real vegetables or whatever you like, but I prefer to do it this way, it is cheaper. Then put a lid over it and let it thaw for a few minutes, and then flip it over later. After about 90 seconds or so, check up on it, and be sure to scoop to the bottom and flip it over, because if you leave it too long, it's all gonna stick to the bottom and then it's gonna burn. So just be sure to rotate it every 90 seconds or so. You're trying to thaw it out, not cook it. Sometimes I like to create a gap in the middle, because when you look at California and other places with mountains, there's places that are hot and cold. All the heat and thawness should go in the center with the lid on top of it for the pressure, and it should thaw it quicker. Once the vegetables are midway thawed out, crack open 3 eggs and just dunk them in there. And then just stir it around. The medium heat should cook the eggs as it goes through. Before you add in your sauce, you want to get the garlic and just put it all in there. Then just kind of let it sit there for a few seconds, that way all the garlic rises up. Once your sauce is in there, give it a nice good whisk and get the extra stuff that fell on the side and just get it all mixed together. When you see it bubbling, that's the cornstarch thickening it. And once it gets bubbling in the center, start stirring it, like now. Then turn it down to low heat. Add in everything and give it a good mix until you see all the sauce coating everything. Put it in simmer bowl and a rice and enjoy. Now you got yourself some good food that doesn't look like dog food, and you don't have to break the bank, and best of all, you don't have to tip a shitty server who pretends to be your best friend.